Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be continuing our October-November House prediction series by looking at the southern United States. So we already covered the Mid-Atlantic region and New England region, all of those competitive House districts. You can watch those at the link at the end of this video. But today we're going to be focusing on the American South. And if we take a look at the map so far, there are a lot of safe seats in the American South, both for the Democrats and the Republicans. So this brings our House total already at 126 seats for the Republicans, 98 for the Democrats. So we're going to start off with the state of Virginia and move our way down throughout the rest of the South. So we're going to get to all of those districts in just a second. But first, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing down below, liking this video if you enjoyed. Link down below to our election night live stream. Be sure to set a reminder for that. 7 p.m. Eastern on November 8th. And of course, we're going to be uploading twice daily on this channel from now until Election Day. So if you have any suggestions for new videos you want me to put out, leave them in the comments down below. With that out of the way, let's get started with today's video. We're going to start off with Virginia's 10th congressional district. Now, this is a district that really should not be competitive. If we take a look at the Politico redistricting tracker, this is a Biden plus 18 district, but recently the Republican nominee hung cow, and really not even recently, but for the past couple of months, he's been making a lot of headlines because many think he's going to make this race very close and could potentially, in a very good year for Republicans, flip this district. Now, I'm going to make a video on the state of Virginia probably later today, talking about why I think this is the most important early state to watch on election night, because we have three House districts, each with varying degrees of partisanship. We have the 2nd congressional district, which is the most Republican leaning. It's a Biden plus 3 district, so very much a toss-up, very much leans in the Republicans' favor. As of right now, we have Virginia 7, a Democratic incumbent, a Biden plus 6 district. This is a district that Glenn Youngkin won by 7 points back in 2021, the territory of this new district. So that's going to be interesting. And then, of course, we have essentially a safe blue district. So looking at Virginia on election night should give us a good portrait around the rest of the country of how these various districts are voting. Because if the Republicans are winning this, lean Democratic district by 10 or 11 points, Republicans are in a very good night, especially with that district having a Democratic incumbent. If we're flipping Virginia 7th for the Republicans by 5 or 6, very good night for the GOP. Obviously, if they lose Virginia 7, it's going to be more of a lackluster night. So Virginia is very much a state to watch, but the 10th district in particular is very interesting because you have Jennifer Wexton, who is a Democratic candidate who typically underperforms Joe Biden's margins. Again, Joe Biden won by 18. I think in her last election, she only won by 13 percentage points. So she underperformed pretty significantly, both in 2018 and 2020. Going this time around, she has a stronger challenger and a very good year for the GOP. If any district is going to swing pretty wildly in favor of the Republicans, it's going to be this one. This district now has a lot more college-educated white voters, although there's also a significant minority of Asian voters who are very highly educated. This is a group that hung cow in particular, the Republican has been trying to appeal very heavily to. As of right now, I think this district leans in favor of the Democrats, which is still a very good sign for the GOP if they get it down to a lean margin. And I think they very much will get it within 6 points because Hung Cow is a very strong candidate. There is no other race at the top of the ticket in Virginia, so there's nothing really driving insane turnout for either side. This is going to benefit the Republicans. Probably going to see Loudoun County vote very similarly to the way it did back in 2021, which is about, D plus 10 or 11. So if that's the case and the rest of the district is going roughly the way it did in 2021, you're looking at Youngkin. Again, Youngkin lost this district, I think the new one, by only 2 or 3 points. So if you're looking at a Wexton plus 5 victory, that's a pretty big underperformance. And if the Republicans somehow flip this district, you're looking at a red tsunami around the country, that's for sure. I mean, if they're flipping a D plus 18 district, it's going to be a really bad night for the Democratic Party. So as of right now, I'm going to put this as lean. Very much could change. Moving on down to Abigail Spanberger's district in the 7th. She's actually been pulling ahead, interestingly enough. The latest poll has her tied, but overall in the average, she's still ahead of her Republican opponent, Yesli Vega. Oh, I thought we had a second poll. We only have one poll. She's up by 5 currently, but the margin of error is pretty large. This is an old poll. A lot of work on the ground in this district. Various ratings, lean D, likely D. Given the generic ballot that I expect to see, which is R plus 4, I think this district's probably going to be a flip for the GOP. I think Yesli Vega is probably going to win by about 3 or 4 percentage points. This is going to be a flip for the Republicans. It puts them at 127 seats. Moving on down to Virginia's 2nd. This is Elaine Loria's district. She is a Democratic incumbent. She actually outperformed in 2020, interestingly enough, over her Republican challenger. This, again, is a really light blue district. This is a Biden +3 district, and this is home to Virginia Beach. Virginia Beach is the bulk of this congressional district, and this is an area that can swing pretty wildly. Again, Virginia Beach went to Glenn Youngkin, I think, by about 8 percentage points. He won pretty decisively in this area. So if Republicans are winning Virginia Beach, they're going to win the congressional district hands down. I mean, Biden won Virginia Beach by several points back in 2020. That's why the district ultimately moved to the left. I certainly think Republicans are going to take back Virginia Beach and then some. I think you could see Jen Kiggans win by about 5 or 6 points. Could even be more, honestly. I'm really debating on it, but I think 5 or 6 is a pretty safe bet. So we'll put it right on the cusp of likely. I think this is also going to be a lean Republican flip. But again, if you see Kiggans winning this by 9 or 10 points or something crazy like that, it's going to be a very good night for the GOP. Moving on down to the state of North Carolina. We've got a couple of competitive districts here. Obviously, the first one we're going to look at is North Carolina's, I believe it's the second, Sandy Smith's district. We'll pull it up here on Politico. But we've got a number of competitive districts here. We'll start off with the first congressional district. This is a Biden +9. Some people on the right have really thought this district is going to be decently competitive. This is now the matchup between Democrat Don Davis and Republican Sandy Smith. Currently, you've got a number of ratings here. The polls are very favorable to Don Davis. Don't exactly know how to categorize this race as of right now. I lean towards lean Democratic. I think the national environment is going to make this close, but I'd be very surprised if Sandy Smith actually pulls this off. This is a plurality black district. There's a large amount of African-American voters here. Even if they turn out at just nominal rates, I think they're probably going to keep this district Democratic. But who knows? Again, a very strong year for Republicans could flip this seat. But as of right now, I think it leans towards the GOP. Next, we're going to look at the 6th district. This is a new district. I don't think there's an incumbent here, so we're going to put it as likely Democrat by default right now. We're not going to go too deep into it. And finally, we have the new open district in North Carolina. North Carolina's 13th, which is a Biden +2. So a very light district, might as well be a even district, essentially. Now, this district in particular, I think, is almost a guaranteed flip for the GOP. Again, as I was saying before, my generic ballot prediction is about R+4. We could even see something larger than that, honestly, which would be really bad news, of course, for the Democratic Party. But taking a look at North Carolina's 13th, this is a district that a lot of people expect the Republicans to win. We have likely R, we have lean R. This is a district where the Democrat is only pulling ahead by 0.9%. Bo Hines. Actually, Wiley Nichols, the Democrat. I don't know why this is inverted, why he's in blue, but ultimately, I think Republicans are going to win this district. I think it's going to be very decisive, as a matter of fact, because of the national environment. I'm talking a 7 or 8 point margin. I think this is going to be a pretty big swing towards the GOP compared to where you saw it back in 2020. And of course, the rest of the districts in North Carolina really aren't all that competitive. All of these districts are going to be safe Republican or safe Democrat. You've got the 9th district that I didn't really cover. That's going to be a safe margin. I'm really not, I don't think that's going to be really competitive whatsoever. Moving on down to Georgia, we have Sanford Bishop's district in Georgia's 2nd. This is a district that the polling has been incredibly good for the Democrats, but the early voting in Georgia has not been. Now, the one thing about the early voting in Georgia is that black turnout has been down, and that's bad news for Democrats. It's been going down steadily each and every day, and, you know, there are some analysts that think Brian Kemp could win by as much as 10 points on the gubernatorial level. If that's the case, that's certainly going to carry Herschel Walker over the runoff threshold. There's no scenario where Brian Kemp wins re-election by 10 points and Herschel Walker goes to a runoff. It's simply not going to happen. I don't know if I'd be that bullish for Republicans' chances in Georgia. I'd say the most I'd see Kemp winning realistically is about R+8, just because Georgia is such a polarized state, and it's going to be a fairly high turnout state as well. So I don't really see such a large victory, but of course, Kemp is going to have down ballot coattails as well. As for Sanford Bishop, he's been polling really far ahead in a lot of his races. I don't have it pulled up here, but in some polls, he's up by 12, 13, 14 points. I'm going to put this as likely Democratic right now. I really don't think this is a realistic flip for the GOP. Again, it's a Biden +10 district, but this is a heavily African-American district, so you're going to have those voters tend to turn out at roughly the same rate as white voters. So if that's the case, I don't really see this district moving that much in favor of the Republican Party. Maybe if it was an open seat, we'd be having a different conversation. But as of right now, I think this is going to be a Democratic likely margin. Moving on down to the state of Florida. Florida changed a lot during redistricting. In fact, Al Lawson, who is a Democratic incumbent, he was previously in a VRA district that basically stretched all the way across northern Florida. Now, of course, he's in Florida 2nd because this is where Tallahassee is. I suppose that's where he lives. It's an R+16 district. I just wanted to talk about it, but I think it's going to be a safe margin. I don't really think it's going to be particularly close. Again, Al Lawson's district really was just this skinny little stretch going from Jacksonville all the way around Tallahassee. Obviously a very gerrymandered district. This time around, I think he's going to lose pretty resoundingly, especially given the fact that both Ron DeSantis and Marco Rubio seem on track to win double-digit victories statewide in Florida. I don't think you're going to see a situation where Al Lawson even gets it within a likely margin. Moving on down to Florida's 7th congressional district. This is Stephanie Murphy's district. It says R+14. I'll pull up the actual vote share of this district because 538 is really weird. I mean, R+14 they think is a Trump +5 district. I wouldn't think that. But anyway, this is a Trump +5 district. Honestly, I could even see this being safe. I don't think it'll be that lopsided. We'll put it as likely for now. I think Republicans will probably win this seat by around 10 or 11 points. Just because Stephanie Murphy's an incumbent, she's going to have a little bit more money, more name recognition, but I still think she's probably going to lose at the end of the day pretty considerably. Moving on down to the 15th district, we're going to put this as likely. This is a Trump +3 district. It's a new district right outside the Tampa Bay area. Of course, we have a safe Democratic district, and then we have this one in around Tampa Bay. So this district in particular, this is Charlie Crist's old district. It's an R+12. I believe Republicans won this by about 6 points. We're also going to put that in the likely category since this is an open seat. Charlie Crist, of course, is running for governor. He's not running for re-election. So those are all three of those seats are going to be likely holds for the GOP. Finally, we get to the Miami area, and this is where things get really interesting because the early vote data is telling us that Republicans are leading currently in the Miami-Dade early vote totals. And if that's the case, this is going to be a particularly red area in the general election. I mean, I could even see a situation where Ron DeSantis wins Miami-Dade by 5 points. And if that's the case, Marie Salazar, who's currently in a D+1 district, I think this might actually be a slight Biden district, I don't know. See, this is why I don't like 538's ratings, because this is a Trump +1 district. I think she would win by a safe margin. That's a very bold call. But if Miami-Dade is really going to the Republicans by that much, and you're really going to see this much of a Latino shift, I think it's going to be a safe margin. I think she wins by 12 points. She's a very strong incumbent, wide name recognition, very popular in the district, and she's a good fit for the district. And finally, we get to Florida's 28th district. This is a district that stretches, I believe, Monroe County and parts of Miami-Dade. I'm actually going to rate this as safe Republican as well. I actually think this is a Trump +5 district. If trends continue, and I think they likely will, with an incumbent Republican, I think it's not even going to be close. And this is going to be the real shocker, I think, of the night when you see how red the state of Florida actually gets, because the polls are really bearing out massive Republican victories in both the governorship and the Senate level. Democrats have all but abandoned Charlie Crist and Val Demings. They really don't have any significant funds anymore. And that's going to bear out in the congressional results as well. Finally, we move over to the state of Texas, and we have 3 border districts running along the Rio Grande. We're going to start off with Mayra Flores' district, who many people, including myself, thought early on she was very likely going to lose this district, although I said there was always a chance she could hold on. She is currently running in a Biden +15 district, yet there's a lot of people that actually think that Mayra Flores could actually hold on given this midterm environment. Her opponent, Vicente Gonzalez, is not running a good campaign at all. He's made a number of massive errors throughout the campaign. And, I mean, if you look at some of these ratings, tilt D, lean D, I think you're going to see the shifts among the Hispanic electorate, especially in this midterm environment, really bear out in the Rio Grande Valley. I actually think Mayra Flores is going to win by 3 to 4 points, which is really going to shock a lot of people, again, because this is a Biden +15 district. But a lot of pollsters have this as toss-up or tilt D. I think she's going to hold out. I think Greg Abbott at the top of the ticket is going to win by a larger margin than people expect. You could even see a red Harris County. You've got a very competitive judges race there. Judges in Texas are essentially county executives in other states. And it looks like they're going to oust their Democratic incumbent. So there's a potential that you could see massive shifts, not just in the Rio Grande Valley, but also in Harris County, which is going to have statewide implications. Even if Republicans don't win Harris County, if they get it within 2 to 3 points, it's going to have massive statewide implications. And I think in the Rio Grande Valley, you're going to continue to see these Hispanic shifts. Next district we have is, of course, the 15th district. This is a Trump +3. This is easily going to be a likely district. It's an open seat, so it's not going to be as lopsided as the 25th. Republicans have a very strong recruit in this district, and I think they're going to do very well there. Finally, we have Henry Cuellar's district. This is a Biden +7 district, and I'm actually curious to see what the ratings are for this district, because in my previous predictions, I've actually given this to Henry Cuellar. So I'm actually curious to see what the ratings are for this district. We've got lean, likely Democratic. Henry Cuellar is a very good fit for his district. He's a conservative Democrat. He's pro-life. He's pro-border security, pro-gun. I think he very much fits the character of his district. Now, if he is taken out, it'll be due to the wave year. I actually think he could hang on. I think it's going to be very close. But I actually think Henry Cuellar still hangs on by a lean margin. So I don't see a total clean sweep in the Rio Grande Valley, although if there was one, it would certainly indicate a massive night in favor of the Republican Party. So that's it for the districts in the South. We have now 137 seats for the Republicans, 103 for the Democrats. We'll try and fill out the rest of this map before Election Day. No promises, though. I'll try to get to all the regions. I think we'll be able to. But I do have to release my final predictions on the Senate governorships and, of course, the House races. There's a few changes I already want to make to this map. I won't reveal them until we get to that video, so stay tuned for that. So anyway, thank you all for watching this video. Please leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell notification so you don't miss any more videos I put out. And as always, again, thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.